Afternoon. Welcome to the Police Services Board meeting number 2407, held Thursday, June 20th, 2024. We'll start actually today's meeting with a moment of silence for the passing of Carol Allison Bira on June 7th, 2024. And Carol was appointed to the Kingston Police Services Board in 2003 and served as chair from 2004 to 2011, and was the president of the Canadian Association of Police Boards from 2011 to 2012. So if I could have that moment of silence. There we go. Okay. Moving on, presentation, there's none. Disclosure of conflict of interest, if there is, anyone? No? Okay. Can I get an approval of the agenda? Good. Thank you. That was Christian that seconded that. All in favor? Okay. And then adoption of the minutes from meeting 2406 held on May 16th, 2024 be adopted. Thank you, Christian. Jimmy, all in favor? Can I get a motion for the following communications from the Ministry of the Solicitor General be received? Thank you. And Jimmy, thank you. All in favor? Is there any questions with the following information that's been sent? No?
Can I make a comment?
Yes, please do.
Just into item number 2, where you'll see the special constable training, just for the board's awareness. Special constable training used to consist of about 4 days of training, and the new program will be 5 weeks. So we're going to, obviously, as we hire new special constables, have to factor that in, A, for budgeting purposes, and B, for training purposes. And I think we just reviewed the manual. It's about 700 pages, the new special constable manual. So it's got a lot of detail. And so needless to say, that'll be something as we adopt and hire new people, we'll keep you apprised of how we're going to roll that out. So we're just working on that right now.
Okay, thanks. It's safe to say there's more content and more training involved?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thanks. Would anyone like to question what the chief had said? No? Okay. Or ask anything, not question, I guess. Okay. So next is the information report. And I would ask that Chief Fraser, if you'd like to speak to the report.
Certainly. So what we've put together here is an annual report. I will acknowledge it's our first one under the new CSPA. So we wanted to ensure that we met all the marks, that we covered all the territory we had to. I know if you look around, you'll find annual reports that look much prettier and maybe are done at a print shop. So certainly, I know that it certainly doesn't look as pretty as it should be, but for our first one under the new act, we just wanted to cover the bases, and then we'll budget next year so we can have a copy that will look a little more enticing and maybe have some more graphs and things like that in it. But for all the parameters, it meets the standard as far as we could see. And like I say, it's a work in progress for all of us. And next year, we'll probably see a little bit of a different one. And I know TJ, who's in the crowd, did a lot of work on this for us as well. So thank you, TJ, for that. And next year, we'll work on building it into a little more of a user-friendly document. Let's say that.
I get a motion to accept that report with Jimmy and his worship. Thank you. Motions. Okay, so firstly, that the Kingston Police Service Board hosts the first Zone 2 meeting of 2025. It's a date confirmed by the Zone 2 chair. I would welcome that, and I imagine that people from our service will speak at that event. So that would be good. Yes, Jimmy, Bishop, All in favor? Good. Do you want me to do a motion for everyone or do them all at the same time? Okay, so then all in favor for that, good. Next, we did the diversity and recruitment, and that was moved by Jimmy Hassan and myself, Chair Stearns. Whereas the Kingston Police 2003 to 2026 strategic plan prioritize objectives is the employment, recruitment, and promotional to better represent our community. And whereas the Kingston Police represents the diverse demographics of the community, and whereas increased diversity within the police service can lead to improved community relations and trust, and whereas diversity contributes to a variety of perspectives and approaches, enhancing problem solving and decision making. Therefore, be it resolved that the Kingston Police Service Board commits to promoting diversity within the police force through targeted recruitment, hiring, and retention strategies, including recruitment promotion at community events. And therefore, be it resolved that the Kingston Police continue to establish partnerships with local community organizations to foster better understanding and cooperation and aid in recruitment from diverse backgrounds. And therefore, it be resolved that the Kingston Police create a system for regularly monitoring diversity within the force and report progress and respect with recruitment to the board annually. May I have a motion for that? Oh, it's already done. So we're going to speak to it. Jimmy, you want to speak to that?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you. As this motion is explaining everything is in there, it's the reason for this motion is to start taking concrete steps. What we have in our strategic plannings. Often we see this problem or this issue is not only for Kingston or Canada, it's an international issue. And international communities have been talking about it from many decades now. But often we see our actions, our plans buried in the words, and those words stay in the books only. So I want to bring this motion because our Kingston Police Department have been doing a lot of efforts, which the public see that, I recognize that. But we want to be leader in our province and also in our country to take the concrete steps. So as the motion is explaining what we want to do, I think this is a great step, and we should start taking step towards to educate the people, to, the visible minorities or diverse, because Kingston is often, I have said, Kingston is fastest growing multicultural city and multi-ethnic city. So we have to change our priorities. We have to change our steps, to welcome everyone and give a fair chance to everyone and make them feel they are welcomed and they will have a fair chance. So we have to take some steps, and I'm hopeful that under Chief's leadership and Mayor Parsons' leadership, the city will flourish. We will grow more multicultural, and then we will try to provide fair chance to everyone who's competent, want to compete, and want to come forward, put their name forward to serve the city, the communities, and the countries as a proud Canadian. Thank you.
Certainly, no, thank you. And I think from a organizational perspective, obviously with the new act, there's diversity planning that we all have to undertake, both board, service, municipality. So that very good timing. What I can tell you is I provided some stats. So in our annual report, we've outlined some of our local statistics, but just for example, male to female recruits in 2023, 79.9% were male at the Ontario Police College. Of 1,547 recruits over the year, 79.9% were male, 20.4% were female. And Kingston, as of last year, Kingston Police were in the sworn side are 81% male and 19% female. So very similar to what the police college is. And then when we go into visible minority, 424 recruits that went through last year, so 28.9%. Whereas in Kingston, 4% of our staff are visible. So we can see where, obviously there's a difference in those numbers. We're here, Indigenous at the Ontario Police College was 5%. And in Kingston, we're sitting at 1%. So once again, just there. But I think the other part of it being, in Kingston Police, for example, unless you read it on paper, you don't know that we have people here who are Serbian and speak Serbian, Spanish, Portuguese, Mandarin, German, Hindi, American Sign Language, Greek, Polish, and Gujarati. I've never even heard of that language, but we have a number of different languages that people speak. But it's important, if you were driving by and saw that officer, you would not refer to them as a diverse officer, because I think a lot of and we're, as that the way we've always done it, it's not generally a color of skin issue only. There's a lot more to it. And so we've actually started, which is very interesting, looking at what are other services doing, like, so the York Regionals and Haltman, things that already have great diversity action plans, but what they're called are inclusion action plans. And that's what we're looking at, because it's covering more like accessibility issues. And, we have aging population in our community, a lot of stuff that we are not looking at, and we need to broaden our horizon to look at it all. And I think it's excellent that for this example, for our recruiting, even though maybe not everyone here knows, but, and our cell monitor program that we have, where we're trying to introduce different cultures to our organization where they may not apply directly to policing. We have a number of applicants from diverse backgrounds who are applying. And then once their foot's in the door, they're now working for the police service, and they get an opportunity to kind of see it. And then they become an internal candidate as well when we have openings inside. So we've seen people go from a cell monitor or a fleet attendant to a special constable, and then into the being a constable, or starting somewhere and becoming a dispatcher, or working in records or somewhere in the organization. So I think we have that's another great opportunity for us, expanding our recruiting, which we have not really done a great job at, where we're kind of sitting back going, it used to be people applied to policing, and we sat back and we're like, we're going to take the best applicants. We have to go out and physically recruit people to come and apply. And we've since kind of taken a couple of our staff who are very good at it, and one of them being in human resources, to be able to go to certain events, go to the events that our community are hosting, but also go out to other communities. Like, if you go to Toronto, you're going to see Vancouver, Calgary, and Edmonton in Toronto recruiting. There's a reason for that. And, that's where sometimes we're going to need to be at specific events, but capitalize locally on what we can, because it's always easy when people live here. It's a lot easier. And for them, relocating is a possibility, but if we can use what's in our community, it's always the best. And a couple of other things we've got going on here that we just haven't advertised, but we'll, I think it really shines the light that we need to come to show the board what we're doing. Staff Sergeant Carla Stacy, who hosts a tutoring program here every week. And it's really expanding through our schools. And we actually have a few that are interested in policing, and it's really working on English, and speaking English and interacting. And it's got a number of diverse cultures that are represented. And, we've just got some picnic tables out back, and they take their break and go out and play basketball, and then they're working on their schoolwork. And so we're doing those kind of things here. Plus Lisa DeCare, who's sitting in the audience here, a constable with us. She's just reinvigorating the Citizens Police Academy. And so we're starting that, where we're going to be able to invite people in and show them, here's what policing is. But then Lisa came up and said, hey, I've got an idea. Scott, what do you think about on a human resources front? Because the Citizens Police Academy is generally opening our doors to show people, here's what we're doing, and you can come through and do the program. But Lisa says, what about from an HR perspective, where we're going out to invite people who we want to apply to work for us, and we do a 6 or 8 week program. So I think there's some things, and then what we really need to do, because we've done things and never had a framework for it. And now's the time to have the framework, because it's required. Do a framework so everybody understands what we're doing, and it's not just we're going after the low-hanging fruit, checking a box. The words are not just words on a page. They're like the strategic plan. Okay, it's accountability, and that's where we really need to go. So I think the future looks bright on that, and these are not just words. These are all things that we have been discussing, And it's really in relation to the new CSPA that says you can talk about it all you want, but you will have this. And I know that working with Lori as well, that I think organizationally, we're in pretty good hands, but we can always do better. And I think this just is outlining we need to do better, and we're going to do that. So appreciate it.
Anyone? Anyone there? Good. Christian, you're good? Thank you, Chief.
I have one,
Uh,
one
oh.
amendment, if I may, Chair, for the chief, that perhaps if we're looking at diversity stats for Kingston, the police college stats will be heavily skewed by the large forces in the Toronto region that necessarily have a more ready pool of diverse recruits to draw on, given the demographics. And so perhaps entities like London, Windsor, or so that might be a little further removed. Maybe Sudbury from the GTA might give us more a more realistic and achievable targets to work with, just so we're not over ambitious and then we end up underperforming because we picked an unrealistic threshold in terms of our own demographics.
Yeah, very good point. And having just been at OPC for the graduation on last Friday, that's exactly the case. And, there is obviously a bigger catchment area, obviously brings in more diverse kind of background. So that's exactly it. And a good point for sure. We'll start doing a little more research departmentally versus the police college globally.
But it's probably a good idea to establish at least some targets that we might want to try to achieve on the premise that hope is not a method, so that we figure out what our method is to establish the targets that we might want to aim for.
That's great. And I think that's where, if we can build that into our framework, and I think it's important, when we look at York's inclusion plan, obviously they had a lead up to get to where they're at. We're not going to hit the ground running where York is right now or Halton, but at least if we do things like that, where we're setting targets and start to establish where we want to be in 3 years. And then in 3 years, you have your ability then to really develop a full-on action plan on here's everything we're going to do. But we'll crawl, then we'll walk, then we'll run, but we'll get there. And setting targets is obviously that's a great plan. So, yep.
Very good. Jimmy, you want to say something?
Just a comment. I want to recognize the Fire Chief Blair. She held the Camp Molly in Kingston the first time. I visited and I sponsored that as well. So it was very nice to see the young people from the different background. The women was there. So maybe in the future we can look something like that just for the Kingston Police. Held a camp yearly and invite the different communities, youth, to come and join.
Yes, for sure. And sadly out there, more people want to be firefighters than police officers, but we won't hold that against our good friends at the fire department.
Good.
Can have them whoever they don't hire.
That's right.
Okay. So thank you for that, everyone. Next, we're going to talk about this is a motion, right? This one. So this is a Canadian Association of Police Governance Annual Conference that's being held in Halifax, August 8th to August 11th, 24. It's a motion to accept Jimmy Hassan to attend this CAPG annual conference. Can I get first and a seconder? Thank you, Your Worship. Christian, all in favor? Very good. Next to that will be a ratification of motion that the memorandum of understanding between the Kingston Police Services Board and the Downtown Kingston BIA. That the Kingston Police Services Board ratify a motion passed by a poll of quorum of board members on May 22nd, 2024, pending the next board meeting, that the Kingston Police Service Board enter into a memorandum of understanding between the board and the Downtown Kingston BIA with respect to a downtown Kingston Foot Patrol 1-year pilot project, and that the board authorize the chair or the delegate to execute the agreement on behalf of the board. Mr. Seconder, thank you. Jimmy, Worship, all in favor? Very good. Yes, please do.
Certainly just for the board's information. So we've been now down there for a few weeks and it's been remarkable. Our officer down there has, first of all, changed a lot of attitudes of some of our other officers who, as I'd indicated, if you're forced to do the beat when you first start working, you'll never walk it again because it was forced upon you. And that's probably looking back to the way we historically did things, how it's so troublesome to get officers to get out. But the officer who was selected for this beat position, he has had a number of very serious offenses occur. He's in close proximity. And like yesterday, for example, a person waving a large butcher knife in a threatening manner towards people right on. Nobody's injured. And it's really been working over the first several weeks. We're seeing a dramatic impact, and that'll subsequently help our patrol officers because that would have been a call that came to patrol and they would have been coming from all over town to do it. And boom, he's there. And our core team is down on their bicycles. Sometimes we've got 3 or 4. So certainly focusing on downtown, certainly the one beat officer, and then our core team has been focusing on other areas on their bicycles. So we're seeing some real benefits to this right off the hop. And then we've just submitted a grant. Our fingers are crossed. We had the Solicitor General here at the station with us this morning, and our fingers are crossed that they can see the value of the grant, where we're looking to add some more resources to the downtown that's going to divert hopefully a lot. So we'll keep you posted on that grant application, and we'll all keep our fingers crossed that some funding comes in for it. So it's been a tremendous partnership thus far.
Your worship.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Chief, just to echo that, I've heard lots of positive feedback from business owners, from the Downtown Business Association. I think it's been a great team effort with police, bylaw, our Welcoming Streets mental health worker. Basically, we have this kind of scale approach where depending on what it is, we decide who's best to intervene, but having the police there to kind of back up more serious situations. Certainly a lot of positive feedback, and on a really challenging issue we've heard a ton about over the last couple of years. So thank you. Thank you to police for your efforts on that.
That's a good story. Good. Okay. New business, staffing update. There is the retirement of Constable Dave Ween, and that's effective May 31st, 2024. And ask if there's any other new business. This is going to go back to the diversity motion and remind the board that under section 37(1)(e) of the new act, the board must prepare and adopt a diversity plan to ensure that the members of the policing service reflect the diversity of the area of which the board has been policing responsibly. This can lead to the board appointing 2 members to a diversity plan committee to prepare the plan. So we'll need a motion, and we'll need 2 people from the board to be on that diversity plan committee. Jimmy, would you like to be one? Very good. Person, Jimmy asked if you'd like to be on that committee.
If there are no other volunteers, I'm happy to support Jimmy in those fine efforts.
Okay, very good. Those are 2. So we need a motion for that.
Yeah, and also we're speaking with the chief this morning. The chief is going to put some of his staff on the diversity plan too, as they have to create a plan as well.
Okay.
And we can collaborate and work with it together.
Very good. Okay, so motion for that. I will worship second, all in favor. Very good. Thank you. Then next I'll ask to move in camera, and maybe we could have like a 10-minute break. I think that there's some people out. First or seconder, thank you. All in favor? Okay.
Lori, I'll just stay on.
No, we'll go into an in-camera in about 10 minutes.
But I'll
You
just
should
stay
have
on
the
the
meeting
same.
invite. Yeah.
Yeah.
Into
Okay,
a new
thank you.
meeting.
Okay, thank you.